WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have a GlenDronach, not normally that rare, 2008. Well, also not even that rare, but this is a batch of 3,500 bottles, 46%, whiskey base number 141308. And this was distilled 2008 and bottled on the 16th of October in 2019. So we have the name of the Rachel here on Dr. Rachel Berry on the back. Now this bottle cost me 80 euros. Now 80 euros, maybe $100 and so on. It's not a single batch, so 3,500 would be maybe 5 to 6 casks. This is exclusively matured in the Pedro Jimenez, the PX, no Oloroso, and this is interesting. 11 years old, not really that old, all right? So if you take a look at the GlenDronach 12, which is about half the price, this is a year older. And if you take a look, and this is what I'm going to share it with, the GlenDronach 15 Revival, the new one also here from Rachel Berry. This cost actually in Europe a couple of euros less. And this is older. This has Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso in it. And let's see what happens. Is it a fair comparison between the two? Well, yes and no. This does not have any Oloroso, therefore no. But this has the same price point as this, and therefore I would say yes. This is younger, this is older. They're both 46% ABV. They're both from the same distillery. Now, we do have a little bit of an interesting fact here because the year 2008 was the year of destiny for GlenDronach. Pernod Ricard had just sold that distillery to the BenRiach company, which is, of course, was owned by Billy Walker. Billy Walker, a few years ago, sold it to Brown-Forman. So GlenDronach, BenRiach, and Glenglassaugh, all three together, formed this nice little company, and then Billy Walker sold it and then bought the GlenDronach instead. So I don't know who made this. Was this made by Pernod Ricard, or was it made by Billy Walker? Now, I'm sure during the year transition they didn't change that much, and so who knows. But this is an exclusively matured whiskey here in Pedro Jimenez, which is always interesting. So we're going to nose it. Much drier GlenDronach than I'm used to. The wood's there, but something is missing. I do have a little bit cherry, the C-H-E-R-R-Y, the cherry. What I do have is the grape moment, the raisin moment, but what's missing is the figs. All right, one of the things I love the most about GlenDronach is that fig type of raisiny combination. Going over here. Oh, smile. This is actually much better on the nose. It has a much sweeter, a much rounder, a much complexer nose than this. Even if you look at the nose here, the notes here, it says an intoxicating burst of maraschino cherry. The same thing is over here, by the way. Ripe bramble. Bramble are the blackberries. And dark chocolate mint with hints of orange bitters and walnut liqueur. I've never had walnut liqueur, have you? Over here we have the maraschino cherry and orange with heather honey, cocoa and cream. I don't get the cream, but I do get a nice chocolate on that. And sandalwood and spice bring complexity with traces of hazelnut and raisins. So, much drier. Think a dry martini. I'm not sure about that one, but that's the way I would put it. And think here of more of a nice liqueur, rich, creamy, and so on. All right, both 46%. Cilantro, to your health. It's a very good whiskey. I like GlenDronach, but it's dry. It's astringent. There's a lot of dark European oak in here, and it turns into a dark chocolate. Nothing wrong with it. The raisin is there, but what's missing, and I've noticed that my wheelhouse tends to be a sweeter moment. And if you want a sweeter whiskey, GlenDronach 15 Revival's the place to go. If you want a dry whiskey, a dessert whiskey, a very elegant whiskey that's a little bit stiff. Think Old Maid, okay? This is what you're going to get. Cleanse the palate. Going over the GlenDronach Revival instead. From the very second it hit my palate, you did notice a much sweeter, a much more Fig Newton moment. Very good. On the palate, it says over here, honey, glazed apricots, and ripe fig with a crescendo of black cherry, angelica, and muscovado. Okay. Out of my price class, I think. Over here, we have cherry and chocolate with honeycomb, creamy malt, and warm toasted oak. I really get that oak here a lot more. What do we have here? And leaving candied ginger and nutmeg. Instead of the nutmeg, I get allspice. All right? But that's just me. Which one do I choose? Every day of the week, this one. I'm a big fan of the GlenDronach, even before Roy declared it as his Whiskey of the Year here in 2019, 2020. I didn't have enough chance to try the old version. I'm so sorry. Before Rachel got her fingers into that and changed everything. Maybe this is more like the old one. Who knows? It's much sweeter. I like it a lot. What I didn't do in my German video that I just did a moment ago is I didn't do the 3 drops. See if anything happens here. I'm going to agitate it. Going to leave it a moment. Going to see what happens if something opens up. Who knows? Nope. The entire time I have a tiny little bit of a type of lactose acid in here. A little bit like a milky type of acid. It's not bad, but it's very, very faint towards the end here. Okay, one last taste of this. I guess you could say I'm picking up the ginger. A little bit of the bitterness in there. It's a nice drinking whiskey. This is an enjoying whiskey. This is fabulous. This is a little bit more sophisticated, I have the feeling. This is a little bit more mainstream. All right. I'm going to give this a C+. 1, an A is why haven't you bought it? B, buy it. C, you can buy it if you want, don't have to. B, you don't need to buy it. And F, why was this even made? And this is actually a C+. It's not a real recommendation. If you can find it and you want that dryness, if you want that little bit of European oak, if you want a little bit more of the chocolate, the cocoa instead of the sweetness of this, go for it. I don't get the honeycomb, I'm sorry, at this moment. Value for money, I think 80 euros is a lot, especially considering the age of this. It's not that rare. 3,500 bottles is not that bad. Basically only here in Europe. You can get basically 2 of these for one of those here at my place in Germany. Even here, you can get 1 of these and have a little bit of change left over compared to that. So definitely my value for money would go over here. So it's a value for money for a C-. All right. So my question of the day is, what GlenDronach has been so far the biggest disappointment? That was somewhat of a disappointment for me, to be honest. I had very high expectations here. And second of all, if you cannot answer that, because Google loves it if you comment on my YouTube videos. Google Alphabet is the is the owner of YouTube here. What is your favorite GlenDronach? Is it a 12? Is it the 18? Is it the 21? Is it a special cask? Is it something like that? So please write down whatever you want to in the comments. I thank you very much. Whiskey Jason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of American tasting rare and exotic whiskeys, things you might not ever see. You might not ever see the 2008 version of GlenDronach with 46% in your area, but if you do, think about it twice before you buy it. I would recommend instead the GlenDronach Revival 15-year-old. All the best. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you then soon. Bye-bye.